is one of my favorite speakers in a bar. But one thing I want to note is what's going to happen to all of this after all of these speakers have spoken. I'll be transcribing things, and once everybody has added their dates under the timeline, there's going to be a website made. And this is also going to mirror the LA Bike Movement website so that academics or interested, curious individuals can go online and learn about the people's history of biking in New York. Ideally, and my goal with this is so that if someone is from a small town and they want to know how they can transform their town, they can look to New York as a guiding light and an example. And the work that we have done should be an example to other people in other places on how to transform their own communities. But with that said, websites don't pay for themselves. I will have to pay a developer, and so I will pass the hat around if anybody wants to contribute a few dollars to some web hosting stuff. That would be rad. But now with that, on to Stanek.
Hello. So I think Chris Kim kind of knocked it out of the park as far as the whole messenger community scene for the past 20 years goes. So we kind of stole all my material, but that's okay. I've done other stuff too. Thanks, buddy. Basically, my relationship with cycling is largely around the same community as Chris's is, and I got in because I quit the desk job with air conditioning to be a bike messenger because I felt like I was dying, sitting in a chair all day long, and I needed to be outside and experience what these messengers do. And just shortly into that experience, I found out that these guys did these races and things and like hung out on the weekends all the time. I was like, this is crazy. And the events that everybody put on were bananas. You know, you would just go out and ride at breakneck speed throughout traffic for glory or a couple prizes. And there was that, but it was also the fact that there was a really great community around that. And everybody just, you know, hung out after your job and did the same job that you did during the week on the weekend for like no reason in particular. So that stuff was a lot of fun, and eventually I started getting involved in organizing things like that. And I don't know if I really speak for everybody that's on this panel, but you know, nobody really makes you do that. Everybody that's doing this kind of like does it on their own free will. Like you're not really supposed to, you just kind of like do stuff. And that's what makes everybody here kind of interesting, because you weren't supposed to go out and like make the bike community a better place. You just kind of did it because you felt like it. Maybe not everybody, but most people kind of just said like, I'm going to go throw a race next week and get more people to go out and do stuff. And we did it. And that was kind of cool. One landmark that I don't think is on any list, and I'm glad Brent Barber showed up, is the Bike Film Festival, because that's definitely...
It's on the timeline.
Yeah. Bike Film, when did that start, Brent?
Well, there's one that started in Berkeley.
Okay, right.
They did bike movies, but the Bicycle Film Festival when I started was 2000.
Okay.
2001.
That, for example, is one of the biggest bike events in the city. It's a whole weekend of like getting together and looking at movies and doing alley cats and stuff like that.
6 months of making movies.
And 6 months of making movies.
Which we both
Yes. As far as I'm concerned, I eventually took over a race, or a ride, I call it now, called Cranksgiving, which Chris Kim spoke about. It's a monster track, which is the most like adrenaline-pumped messenger race you can do in the city in the middle of the winter. Cranksgiving is like the exact opposite of that, where the same group of people gets together and rides out to grocery stores and picks up a can of food, rides to another grocery store and picks up another can, and has to take all these cans of food to a homeless shelter at the end and donate it to homeless people. It's kind of the same exact kind of event as Monster Track without all the aggression and stuff, and and these days, like, I took it over 8 years ago, halfway into its existence, and I've tried to call it a ride more than a race, because I kind of want everybody to do it. I want my mom to be like, I'll totally do Thanksgiving. That'd be awesome. And if it's a race, she might not do that. So, since I've been running Cranksgiving, it's gone from like 60 people to like 300 people. It's really been an awesome experience doing that. What else? in 2007, I started a program called Bike Shorts, which was like a quarterly film screening, similar to the Bike Film Fest, with not quite as good stuff. But we would show films every 4 months, and people would vote on the film at the end of the night, and you'd win $100. It's just another community building thing. I was trying to get people to go out and not just ride their bikes, but make movies based around using a bike, not necessarily riding a bike, but using that as your muse and entertaining people with that. Back in time, in like 2004, when the CMWC, the Cycle Messenger World Championships, was happening in New York, I took over the New York Bike Messenger Association's website, nybma.com, and I kind of created that as a hub for all bike messenger activity in the city. And that was really popular for a while I was running it. And
May I say that was probably before blogs?
Yeah, I was gonna say
website after Cars and Coffee. That was the biggest bike blog in the world.
It was kind of like before everybody in
All
the
the
brother
events were posted.
and the brother's kid had a blog, so there really weren't thousands of places to find all this information, and everybody would send me their stuff. I posted flyers and whatnot. And that was around 2004, and that kind of helped the community really advertise events and get people to come out to all these things. Another thing that I was largely involved in was bike and polo, which a lot of people here at this bike shop actually are highly involved in bike polo. And if you don't know about it, it's like polo on a bicycle. You run around with like sticks and you're balling on the net. And it sounds silly, but it's a lot of fun. An event that I did for a couple years, 2007, 2009, is called Los Marcos Mayhem. It had, I'd say, little to no influence on the community at large. But I think what it was essentially, we would dress up in tights and masks and encourage people to cheat and steal instead of actually playing a legitimate game. You would have to like come up with more creative ways to win, which involves
Some
bribing.
kicked me in the balls in that race.
I probably gave that person points for doing that. I'm sure I did. But I think the point of me doing that and Cranksgiving and Bike Shorts and other events that I did is just doing different events in different ways. Like every year somebody tries to do monster track in a different way that makes it harder to do or more challenging or different. And everybody tries to come up with an alley cat, like Rumble Through the Bronx or whatever, that's different and make a different event every time. And every alley cat is different, and every event is a different thing. And I just kind of wanted there to be other ways for people to go out and do stuff with their bikes at any given time. And I think everybody that's up here does the same thing or encourages the same thing. Nobody asked me to do it, I just kind of felt like doing it one day, and it was fun. Other